Brian Dable just took questions from the media. They're out there on the practice field right now. So that means myself, Brandon London, and Paul Schwartz going to hang out with you guys for a little Blue Rush. Not post-game, but I guess practice report. We're going to stick to what everyone in New York and I guess national football media is talking about, the whole Russell Wilson, Jaxson Dart situation. Brian Dable spoke in coaches' language. Coaches speak today about Jaxson Dart, Russell Wilson. Paul, I guess you start first. What is your biggest takeaways from what he said about Russ still being QB1 and grooming Jaxson Dart?
Right. I mean, the order's the same. Russell Wilson's number 1, Jaxson Dart's number 2, Jameis Winston number 3. So that's status quo. Something we have to ask every week, right? Just because it's a kind of a new dynamic going on now. And, yeah, it's interesting. You know, Brian Dable just didn't talk a lot about Russell Wilson and really wasn't asked a lot about Russell Wilson. I asked him about, did Russ handle the pressure well last week? And he said, look, that last week is over. We're moving on to this week. We all have to be better with a lot of things. So I would say it was probably 85-15, the talk, 85% about Jaxson Dart and how they're getting him ready to play, and very little about Russell Wilson, which is just interesting because, we know there's a lot of interest in Jaxson Dart, but Brian Dable can kind of shut it down if he just says, look, guys, Russ is the starter, Jaxson is the backup, and, let's just talk about the Cowboys, not about the backup quarterback. But Brian Dable has no problem talking in great detail about how he is preparing Jaxson Dart, this process. He runs the scout team, you probably did a lot of scout team stuff, right? Yep. Who was the best scout team receiver you ever had to be?
Randy Moss. Twice, Patriots, week 18 and for the Super Bowl.
All right, and you, they did well against them.
Absolutely, so, I got them ready. I earned that check.
You did a good job being like Randy Moss-ish, right?
Ish. You wrote an article, but we'll get it.
I remember that. Yes, there's the Randy Moss. Yes, you have it cut out somewhere? No, you have.
Absolutely, I'm gonna get you to sign it.
There you go. Get Randy Moss to sign it. It'll be worth more money. But so he runs the scout team. So he kind of is running what Dak Prescott will do against the Giants. Those are meaningful snaps. And then Brian Dable said after practice, he spends a lot of time after practice going through scripts. Basically, okay, if you're the starter, here's the script of what we're going to use in the game. He spends a lot of time. He's throwing after the game. So, Brian Dable does not mind detailing step by step how they're grooming this guy to play. Sooner or later, I think it's, if this keeps up from what we saw in Washington, it's going to be sooner because he's telling you we're getting him ready to play.
Yeah, and it's not a secret at all, especially when you got Joe Shane had said that they like where Jaxson Dart is in terms of his development. And one thing that Brian Dable said is he's meeting every checkpoint. He's getting to every checkpoint. So they asked about what was it like for Jaxson Dart to sit and watch and have his this first game, and he was talking about he had to have his first game. He was very involved in terms of hearing the communications, the plays that are being called, and just all the communications when the offense comes off the field, and you sit at the bench and they're talking about what they saw, or what went wrong, or what they could do better. So you hear that, and you just start to wonder on when that time can be. And again, it's Russell Wilson's job right now. If Russell Wilson can hold off all chatter with a strong performance against the Dallas Cowboys, that's just NFL football. Someone's always trying to take your job. But when you have a guy that you traded up for and has looked so good up to this point, you have to be at least wondering, would Jaxson have gotten out of that broken down pocket? Would Jaxson have made that throw? And it's unfortunate that we're here at this point going into week 2, but at the end of the day, you can't blame the rookie for putting and showing some good things on tape to where the regime that drafted you, traded up to go get you in the first round, is excited and likes where you are at this point.
Look, but let's not put the cart before the horse here. Jaxson Dart, if he comes in the game, is not going to do anything if 3 running backs total 30 yards in a game, okay? If you can't run the ball at all, Jaxson Dart at 2nd and 8 and 3rd and 7 is not going to succeed because no quarterbacks, very few quarterbacks are going to succeed. Russell Wilson was hit 8 times. Could Jaxson Dart have run around for some of those? Maybe, but that was a losing performance on offense all around. Russell Wilson didn't rise to the occasion, but nobody else around him did. Look, one thing else about Jackson, the Giants told you they think he's ready to play now by making him the number 2 quarterback, right? A number 2 quarterback has to be ready to play at a moment's notice. So in the first game of the season, he was the number 2 quarterback. If something happened to Russell Wilson, Jaxson Dart is on the field. And they're not saying, oh, Jackson was on the field, but we didn't think he was ready to play. No, they're saying this rookie was ready to play. If he wasn't ready to play, in their eyes, Jameis Winston would have been the backup. It's as simple as that. So how does Russell Wilson kind of stave off the rookie, play better, and have the team play better around him, and heaven forbid, actually win a game in Dallas where they never win? So if they can do that, if they win a game in Dallas, unless it's 3-0, no one's going to be talking for Jaxson Dart, okay?
And that's where they are right now, because I'm glad you brought that point up about getting him ready to play. They have been 100% transparent about they're getting this guy ready to play, but they haven't said they're getting him ready to be QB1. You're just ready. If anything were to happen, this kid has gotten, as he said, he's gotten first team reps in practice. We're grooming him. He's taking mental reps off to the side when the first team is up there. We're getting him ready to play. So it's one of those things where you don't want to throw this guy in there and then he not be able to be on the same page as everyone else that's gone through the spring installs throughout the spring, throughout training camp and the preseason. But again, it's just unfortunate that we're here right now. I don't think we expected to be talking about this much about the QB battle. Final thought, Paul, before practice wraps up and we head into the locker room.
Well, one other thing, Andrew Thomas, look, we talked about Russ not having a lot of protection, not having a lot of help. Andrew Thomas can be, he can put on his cape and provide that help. Did not practice on Wednesday. Brian Daboll said that's part of the plan the trainers put together. The hope is to get him on the field Thursday and Friday. Wednesday, he was going to run hard, see how he feels, do some other things. Thursday practice, hopefully. Friday practice, hopefully. And then if it's all systems go, then maybe he can actually play in the game on Sunday in Dallas. They need him badly. They need, James Hudson was not great in the his first game for the Giants. The whole offensive line needs him badly. So we'll see. If he can play, he'll play because they need him.
All right, you guys lock in with this Thursday. We have the latest and newest, freshest episode of Blue Rush, where we're going to break down the Dallas Cowboys matchup a little bit more. We're going to go inside, get ready for player media availability, talk to some of the players. We'll get some of those interviews up on the New York Post Sports website and YouTube as well. For Brandon London and Paul Schwartz, thanks for hanging out with us.